Greetings wherever you are, and welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. This is intended as a support mainly for solopreneurs. We get together because we enjoy each other's company, but we also like exchanging information and ideas and experimenting with new platforms and overcoming difficulties, which we're probably going to speak about this morning. You can discover what we as a group stand for by reviewing the operating principles right on my website page. I want to welcome our viewers and invite them to check in by telling us where you are and what you do in the comments section right on this page. So now it's time to give the panel members an opportunity to introduce themselves. And usually what I do is invite people in the order in which they arrived. So Vivek, that means you're first this morning.
Namaste. My name is Vivek Anand. People call me Vivek. And VicTechnology.com is my website. My tagline is Unify, Simplify, Amplify Life. That's actually, I must give credit to Roland for giving me that tagline. Making it unified and simplified.
Right on. Yeah. So, and I noticed that you and I almost have the same color background this morning.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
So let me see who came next. I think it was Roland.
Hi, everybody. I have the strangest experience going on. I can see everybody else in the film strip, but not me. I'm maybe, oh, I see. Maybe
there's a little arrow.
There is.
Yeah.
No Roland. So I did something to cancel myself out of that. So I'm having an identity crisis a bit here. But hi, my name is Roland. I'm very happy to be here with Lolan and everybody in the gang. I haven't been around for half a year, and this is a very good day for me to be able to be here and spend time because I am actually free. I guess Memorial Day kind of set everybody's schedule off for a bit, so I have a free Tuesday. But thank you very much. MinMax Media is the name of my company, where we bring the minimum you need for maximum impact in internet travels.
Right on. So, and you should mention your Monday morning sessions.
Okay, I will. My Saturday morning Marketing Smarties show that had a reboot 2 weeks ago is now on Mondays. So we now, instead of Saturday morning Marketing Smarties, we have Monday morning Marketing Smarties. And interestingly enough, 6 years ago, I could not have said that. But my lips are working much better now than they used to. And so I had a stroke in 2012, and it changed a lot of things about my life. One of them was that multiple M's would give me a problem.
Oh.
Problem. I couldn't even say problem.
Oh.
Because of that. But now I can say Monday morning Marketing Smarties. So
Monday morning, right on. Yeah. So I encourage everyone to check in and take in that show. Roland interviews some interesting people. Alana, I think you were next.
Hi everyone, Alana here, coming to you from Ireland. It's afternoon time. It's a little after 5 o'clock p.m. in my part of the world. I run a website called emptynesterblog.com, where I teach empty nesters how to make online income of their very own. I also am a digital strategist where I help people with their websites and their marketing strategies. And I'm just getting that off the ground. So at the moment it's called ALB Digital Services. So it's not quite official yet, but it's almost official.
ALB, Alana.
Yeah, I just use my initials for,
Yeah.
I was sick of trying to figure out a decent name, so I said, heck with it, use my initials like everybody else. Let's just be boring.
It makes it easy, right?
Makes it easy,
Yeah. Well, welcome here.
Thank you. Happy to be here, especially in light of the topic we are discussing today.
Yes, no kidding. So I don't know if I don't know who got here next, so I'm going to go with Fred.
All right, thank you, Lolan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm Fred Jones. I'm in Victoria on Vancouver Island on the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. And I'm the creator of Our Future Leaders, which is a cutting edge online coaching program which helps our youth. I work with youth anywhere the age of 8 to 16, although I had a 6-year-old join on Friday because her older brother was there and she really wanted to be with him. So it worked.
Right.
And what we do is we help our young people with their communications and organize meetings, which helps them ultimately with their leadership and boost their self-confidence. And as the world's changing so rapidly, they really have to learn how to work together and communicate and become leaders, because they are the leaders that are going to sort out what's going on in this world. So it's wonderful. I really enjoy it.
Right on. So.
And I'm at my daughter's place all of a sudden because I'm in between. As you know, I move around a bit. Next week, where will I be? I don't know. I'll be in California soon. I'm going to go and visit Roland as well. That's a plan. I'm going to say hi to Roland when I'm down there. I'm not too far away from where Roland is.
Oh, that's going to be cool. Right on.
And the best part of that is I'm in Victoria, but I've never met any of the other people in Victoria. I'll have met Roland before I meet anyone else in the same town that I'm in.
I was just going to say that. Fred and I are in the same town, and we've never met face to face.
But it's amazing what you can do on the community. This has really taught me. You can build a community online.
Yes,
and that's
you
what
can.
I'm encouraging the young people to do as well. They can learn how to build their own community, even if they've never met the person anywhere in the world. It's wonderful.
Yes.
It's a great learning experience. That's why I love coming here.
Yeah, it's great. I love it too, Fred. So welcome here. So Nancy.
Good morning. Thanks for being here, Lolan, and hosting this. My name's Nancy Kreitz. My website's nancykreitz.com. And I help people create a pain-free lifestyle they love for a lifetime. And I want to thank Jay for that. It's still being tweaked. But I've come from a background of fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue with chronic pain, migraines, and allergies for years and years. And I didn't believe there was an answer. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, which I am now. And I teach Qigong and bioenergetic medicine. I have learned a very simple formula to bring people into this beautiful lifestyle that I think everyone would love to live. And I rely heavily, I found the secret is not pharmaceuticals, but rather supplementation, a natural approach, along with mindfulness and perhaps some Qigong or yoga. You can really create a lifestyle you love. So in town here, I teach in Victoria. I teach Qigong sessions at Fairfield Community Center Wednesday evenings. And I'm running a 28 days to Radiant Health program that's more or less ongoing several times a year. And as well, I offer free consultations to people who want to create a simple, effective supplement protocol that will bring them relief from whatever it is that they're wanting a break from. So that's what I do.
Right on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I see you there, Jay, but I'm first of all going to say a welcome to David Flannery, who has joined us on the VCP page. And he says he builds websites and sells real estate. Rock Falls. Oh, I guess that would be Illinois. Well, welcome here, David. So that's nice to. That just illustrates our ability to go international, and that's exactly what we all love about this. So, Jay, what's happening over in sunny Langford?
Well, I just came in. I got a little bit of a sunburn, so I thought I'd join the webinar today. So it's too sunny outside. So. Hello, my name is Jay. My company is Magi Studios, and we help people get started in the world of online marketing through coach, consulting, and training. Happy to be here, hailing from sunny Langford as usual.
Well, and for those who are not from this area, Langford is like a suburb of Victoria. I was waiting for the reaction to that one.
I think you meant to say a better suburb. You left out an adjective.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, no, Victoria is a suburb of Langford. Oh, dear. We have some fun about
According
that.
to our mayor, yes, that would be the right thing to say.
Oh, dear. So, welcome here. Have I missed anybody? I'm just trying to make sure that because I have my screen minimized a little bit, I have to roll around and see who's here and who's waving. So, well, so let's get on with our topic this morning. We decided last time that perhaps it was time to revisit this whole GDPR situation. We did cover this topic quite a while ago. When we first heard about it and didn't know much about it, etc., etc. But boy, the net has been extremely busy this past week, because May the 25th was the deadline, was when everything was supposed to happen. So, and I don't know, Alana, if you want to share your frustration right off the bat this morning to get us rolling, or...
Sure. It was a timely discussion we're having today, because I was saying before we went live that I do research on sites in the U.S., and some of the sites are fun and some of them are research. But long story short, there's a couple of newspapers in the States from my hometown that I read a couple times a week just to keep abreast of what's going on back there. And one of the sites I went to today gave me a smack in the face and said, "You're outside of our area, you can't come in," kind of thing. So I thought, well, that was kind of mean and nasty. And then I went to the other site and they let me in. They let me read the headlines. And then when I clicked on the article was completely redacted. So I feel like I'm being censored and I am not happy. So here's what I did. I went into my settings, because it's a location thing. I know that. I went into my laptop. I changed the location settings. I turned my location settings off. I cleared my cache. I cleared all my history. Went back to those same two sites, and still no joy. I'm still getting blocked out. So that is the fallout on our side of the pond for GDPR of accessing stuff in the US and perhaps other places as well. So timely discussion today.
Yes, and so there have been a few things that I've stumbled on online where some companies have said, "Well, I don't have customers in the EU. Why do I need to do all of this? I will just block them, so that I don't have to do that." So, however, on that topic, one of like Mayanna Stevenson, who's been following all of this GDPR stuff in the States, she did a posting a day or two ago where she was suggesting that just simply blocking the EU countries was not an adequate or not a good way to go. So, but you know, it for a lot of people, the whole thing looks very complex, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know where to go, etc., etc. So I thought I might sort of just outline some of the things that happened to me this week, right? Because I spent quite a bit of time on it. First of all, I do recommend that people go and follow Anna Stevenson. She has a whole series of sessions where she talks about all the research that she's done on that. So that's she's called Blogate, I think it's called, is her blog that she does every Tuesday. So and from her, she linked to a Facebook gal named Mary Smith, who did a live session with a lawyer, a UK lawyer actually, who specializes in data management and data protection and all of that. And the discussion was not so much from the perspective of that if you're in the EU or the UK, these are the things you need to do. It was more if you're not in the EU or UK, this is the better way to go. And she was actually, I mean, she simplified things down. She has a very extensive Facebook group as well, where you can get quite a bit of information as well. But more, her Facebook site is probably suited more to somebody who is in the EU. Anyway, so basically she kind of outlined for somebody sitting outside of the EU, what do you need to do? And I mean, she said the first thing is to really look at the whole thing and decide whether all of that GDPR really applies to you, and then to do an audit of the data that you hold within your website and within your company, and where do you get it, and what do you do with it, and how long do you keep it, etc. And so that was another piece, and I was really glad that she said that, because I sat down and I made a list of all of the data that I hold about from people who come to my website. So I did that, and then I suddenly realized, well, yeah, okay, so now I've got this information. I need to be sharing that. So I revised my privacy policy, and I found a really good one. I'm a member of Wealthy Affiliates, and last week there was a really nice, clean, clear, easy to read privacy policy template. So I went with that, and I added some things. So that was useful. Then there was a lot of discussion around, like, if you have a list, is it necessary to go back and get everybody to reconsent? And she kind of said that there are so many people that are doing that. What did she call it? Something fatigue. Consent fatigue, I think she called it. And she said, if you are able if you know how you got all of your people on in your email list, that probably now is probably not a good time to go and seek out consent. That it might be a good idea to wait for a while, was her suggestion. Then the other thing she talked about was to be clear about your cookies and how they are used, and for people who don't like cookies, to give them in your policy some idea how to do that. So those were the main things that she said. But the main thing she said was, don't panic. There's really, I think there was a question that came up, how is all of this going to be monitored and policed and so forth? And she said her guess was that nobody's going to be out there, that there aren't going to be enforcement police out there. Likely it will happen as a result of complaint. So I've done all of those things. And then the other thing that I discovered was, because I use an opt-in plugin that links up with my email list, and they created an extra page that makes certain that people, when they do subscribe on my website, there's an extra page there that gives permission. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out all of these pieces. So there is a fair amount that I spent a good portion of the week on this. So now, and I mean, there's a few questions that I have that I don't have answers for yet. But so you've heard what I've done. What about the others in the group here? Has anybody else in the group done any work related to GDPR on their website? What about you, Alana? Have you done any?
Short answer, no. I'm actually part of the EU, but like you were saying, I don't think they're going to come knocking on my door. I think anyone who has small sites, they're not really all that concerned about. They're more concerned, like you said, of anyone that's complaining. They're looking for bigger fish of non-compliance and more serious data breaches. Also, anyone who doesn't want to be on your list can always unsubscribe or send you a mail and ask you to take them off your list. So with that in mind, I'm not really that concerned. I will do something about it just to be in compliance, but as of yet, I have not.
Right. So, what about you, Roland? Did you do anything on your website yet?
Zero. I'm keeping it simple, and if somebody contacts me and wants to take up issue, I will take it up, but so far there's nothing. So I'm not real concerned about it. Like, I'm not real concerned with the presidency of the United States either. We've already covered that.
But, we did that before we went live.
Yeah. But the politics of my life are so acute. I have all I can handle: running my family, running my relationships, taking care of my kids, and my sphere of influence for political reasons is very, very, very small. So I'm not worried about it too much.
Right on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear mongering with this whole thing.
There is, isn't there? Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, here's what's going to happen is the GDPR police are not going to be coming and hunting you down because your privacy policy was not compliant to this new European Union law. Right. I mean, they're not going to haul you away in handcuffs. Right. Worst case scenario, like absolute worst case scenario, is that Google will de-index your site in the countries that are in a part of the European Union. You know, big deal. So So
Yeah.
in my opinion, and if you run a website on WordPress or any platform that has made the effort to make their platform compliant, you just don't need to really do anything else other than maybe adjust your privacy policy page, So, but
Yeah.
beyond that, that is the most amount of effort that I did. I just installed that little GDPR plugin. It asked me a few questions. It says, "Well, do you want to be able to do? You want to do this and this based on the plugins that you have?" And I just said yes, and then I was done with it. And then I haven't thought about it ever since. I think people are now, mind you, I don't live in Europe and I'm not a part of the European Union, so it is not. And the majority of my traffic to my websites are from Canada and the US and Australia. I got one site where there's a lot of traffic coming in from Germany, but beyond that, I really don't. It's not my concern. I mean, why should we all have to roll over and lay down because of this law and of these tiny little countries? Why it has to go and everyone has to abide by this, right? I'm not a part of the European Union. I mean, it's just it's total fear mongering, and it's in my opinion, it's got blown way out of proportion, absolutely out of proportion. So, and I mean, it's a bummer with Alana with how she's been basically bamboozled by a couple of websites. But I mean, it's not the website's fault. It's you could say it's GDPR's fault. And I would think that expats should be able to have some sort of, I don't know, constitutional right, shall I say, to be able to, visit the sites that they want to, just if they're physically located in some spot, but they still carry American passports or other passports, they should be able to access it, right? So, but we're not here to get into a political heated discussion, as Roland says. So, and it's great to see you again, Roland. I hope prison was treated you well. So, yeah.
Oh dear, I just did something and I can't see anybody. What did I? There, I did it. I did it. The only thing that now, as I say about some of the things that I've done, it had more to do with this little opt-in plugin that I had, and I was trying to at least be able to turn it into a double opt-in. And I discovered that it plays with Mad Mimi, but doesn't play very well with Mad Mimi. So I was back and forth with Mad Mimi people and opt-in cat people trying to sort that out. That was a bit of a bummer. But I mean, Jay, when you talk about the fact that you that you don't have that much traffic from EU countries, I did the same thing. I went into analytics and looked, and I think I realized that there was one from the UK, one from Ireland, and a couple from Spain or something. So, I mean, when you look at that, is it really worth going through a gazillion hoops about that? So.
Our time is better spent doing other things.
Yeah.
Running our business, not abiding by, these laws that really don't affect us. So. Yeah.
And the one from Ireland is me, and I'm not going to come after you. So.
Well, I knew the one from Ireland.
I'm telling on you. I'm telling.
And the one from UK is probably me.
Yeah, that's right. And that was what I decided. So I thought, well.
Yeah, Actually, David Flannery on your VCP page is commenting that it reminds him of Y2K.
Yeah, I see that. So, yeah, I mean, there was an awful lot of angst over that at the time, wasn't there? Yeah.
I did also notice on similar to what Jay was saying on MailChimp, which is my email provider, they have a huge new privacy policy, GDPR kind of compliant thing. So I'm assuming that covers everybody who's using MailChimp. So I'm just same thing, just like
Yeah.
I haven't sent out a blog though until we spoke today, because I didn't want to have everyone here saying, "Oh no, you better be careful." So good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks, really.
Well,
Yeah,
go ahead, Vivek.
yeah, when Jay was talking, I felt I was hearing more of a Brexiteer. Anything against EU.
You're right. Well, but I mean, all of this raised a number of questions in my mind. One of them was, I believe I've read somewhere that there is a way that you can tell by somebody's little code where they're from, but I have no idea how to find that out. So
it's typically the website, the IP address from where you're coming. So I think Alana's quest to get to the American, no, you really can't beat that unless you fake your IP address.
I can maybe get a VPN. That's the only thing I can. That's the only way around it. I can say. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. And I think the GDPR is going to have. It's going to have a bit of a fallout. It's going to be extenuated out to not just data on an email list. It's going to be things that I'm running into and certain access to sites. And I'm wondering if it's going to affect how we do our research if we're in an EU country. So, you know, that's kind of a drag for me.
Yeah. But yeah, and there are I think some of the email autoresponders, I think you can't, some of them have a way to go in and ask, you know, of this list that I have, where are they from? You know, where do those IP addresses reside? But it doesn't seem to be available in Mad Mimi. So
now, if I remember back in my TCP/IP days, I thought there was a way that you could see IP addresses, and based on the first couple of numbers were driven by the country, but I don't know if that's true anymore. Or I could be not remembering correctly. Maybe somebody else has a heads up on that.
It is, more or less it is.
Yeah, okay.
I thought with the IPv6, that's being put to rest. In terms of the IP address. I don't remember. It's because I mean, it's becoming the world of IP addresses. We're running out. I mean, just in terms of the organized structure of how a country is laid out based on IP addresses. So I think they've kind of dispersed it a little bit more freely these days. But they were the IP, the whole internet, and the initial thought process was they were thinking that only the European, the American, and the Western part of the globe would be involved in internet, and they kind of more or less ignored the rest of the world. China, India, Australia, no, they don't. They didn't bother. They didn't consider. So when you consider the internet traffic possibility, I'm just talking about possibility. I mean, number of people, population.
Yeah. Oh.
you know, come to think of it, I actually think down the road, this whole new GDPR thing is going to create a little bit of I don't want to say more havoc, but yeah, more havoc, because it's exactly what Alana said, where it's going to be people getting changing their IP address or using a proxy server or something like that, where they are perceived in that they're in a different country, which is exactly what spammers do.
Right.
What a spammer does is they spam out stuff, but then they use a thing where it hides their IP address, so, or it makes it look like that it's coming from a different country, so it's compliant. So this is gonna, I think it's gonna start out where it's gonna be an innocent thing where it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just get, I'll get an IP, change. There's actually a service called hidemyass.com, which does exactly that. Is it makes it as if you're coming in from another country. Yeah. So it's going to start out as an innocent thing where someone's going to get a proxy server of some sort, and then it's just going to go. People are going to see this as a benefit, as a tool where I can now then access sites that I'm not allowed to. I can then complain. I can just it's opening doors to more minutia of problems.
Well,
in my view, I think why you do it is more important than the rule itself. I mean, as far as I can see, it was brought in so that privacy of the people is protected in some way, and at least by the big companies like Facebook. Probably the recent debacle that Facebook has had, I think that had a major role in why this GDPR has become so, blown out of proportion. Yes, probably because of what has happened with the Facebook. They didn't protect the data of their subscribers, and so we are left with all kinds of things, and people have been I don't know, here there is a constant joke going on saying that if you are still online and if you're still on Facebook, probably okay, and the joke
yes
follows after that.
Well, I think it was Sue Sue Ferreira that mentioned Monday when we were talking that this GDPR is causing quite a bit of problem for people who are running their businesses from Facebook, because of the way that Facebook advertises according to location, etc., etc. And so it seems to be, from her opinion, was that people who are running their businesses from there are probably a lot more concerned than the rest of us are. So, but I had, and by the way, I want to acknowledge David Flannery. Says that he updated his policy also using the wealthy affiliate template. So it's a nice clean one. But I wanted to raise that because there was one section in there that I really didn't know how to answer. There was a section about third parties, whether, what third parties you shared your information with. And so I got to thinking, well, does that, what does that include? And so as I began thinking, well, as I was listing off all the data that I collect in relation to my work here, I realized that I asked people to fill in a Google form and using their email and their name, and then it gets posted to our chipmunk that Vivek created for me, and then it gets posted out to people's emails and their calendars. And I began to realize that yes, I probably need to. So in my list, that's one of the things that I've said. I share people's information is held by Google, and I'm holding it. So that was one thing, but the other thing I wondered. There's a couple of things that I use on my site. One of them is called Book Like a Boss. It's a kind of a scheduling thing, and people go in there. And so I guess, and they came out and said that they're saving all that information. And also this opt-in cat. So when somebody opts in, they're saving. So there's a couple of things. And that got me thinking about the rest of the plugins that on in WordPress. Do we? I wonder if we're supposed to list all of the companies that whose plugins we're using. I don't know.
I have a question for Alana. Alana, were you ever given any kind of documentation, like as a person living in Europe, being part of the European Union, were you ever given any kind of documentation? Did you see any kind of like commercials or anything based on this new law, as not as a site owner, but as a person, who lives and breathes Europe, did you receive anything, or any, like, how do people know about it, and how do people, like, how are they educating the European Union people who access the internet? How are they educating them to, here's how you do a complaint, here's, this and that? So.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm a great person to answer that question, because I don't really read the news here, and I know that sounds bad, but I don't read the newspapers here very often. We get maybe one a month. I haven't seen anything on telly about GDPR. The only thing I've noticed is my inbox is full of we're updating our privacy policy mails. So that's the thing I've noticed the most. So it seems to be more geared toward website stuff. I have not seen, I can't think of anything on telly. Maybe Vivek can address that. How about you over there in the UK, Vivek? Have you seen anything?
No, I haven't either.
Yeah, I have seen nothing really.
Yeah, and I think what I can probably add is this is probably a good time to clean up all those subscriptions which we subscribed long ago and forgotten all about it, and haven't really bothered reading the newsletters. So now if they have sent the reminders, and if you don't answer, they are supposed to remove you from their newsletter, and those newsletters should stop.
Yeah, it's a great way to get rid of all that junk mail.
Yes.
By doing nothing.
Yeah.
So it makes one think about, then why are we complying to this, or why are we doing this if they're not educating the people in Europe about it, in terms of how to use it as a user?
See, I think from an end user point of view, it's not our issue. It's the companies that are holding the data. It's their issue. It's not necessarily ours.
Oh, absolutely. But they should also educate you about what your we'll call it your new rights.
Yeah.
They need to let people know about it, and if they're not educating the people about this whole new law as to why they've done it and stuff, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Now, I did get the Sunday newspaper a few days ago, and I saw nothing in it on GDPR.
Well, I would imagine it was probably pretty shrouded with your new, with the referendum that went on there. So.
Yeah, that's true. That was pretty big news here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think Roland has raised his hand. Go ahead, Roland.
I have a question for the group here, and what I'm wondering is, and the very example that we use here, using Google Forms. So Google implies that our information stays our information, and that implies that Google has no rights over the content and the data that we collect. So if we're using Google Forms, surveys, so forth, if we collect information regarding the constituents in the outside and it's collated there on the Google servers, it implies that Google has no right to use that data for anything. So is that your understanding, or who else has any information on this?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
I think here's one advantage for you, Loveland, you and me, and whoever else is using the G Suite services. G Suite gives you, or rather covers you for exactly that. GDPR and so on. Google takes the hit if there is any. Whereas if you're not a G Suite subscriber and you are using the free service, Gmail, then free service, which is Gmail, is supported by advertisements. How do they target the advertisements? By scanning the email that you are actually selling your data.
You are the product.
In exchange for the free Gmail services. Whereas when you pay for the G Suite, you are actually paying for the services, and so you have the rights, and Google provides the cover for the GDPR and compliance and so on. So for the forms that you are using, Loveland, they are as part of the G Suite. So you should be covered.
Yes, but that does not answer the question. All of us who are not part of the G Suite, and if we use Google Forms, how do the rights compare?
That's exactly what I meant. You are not covered. If you are using free service, no, sorry.
Sure. Well, the thing is, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that we have no recourse to lay it on Google. But what is their terms of service policy imply then? It says our intellectual property is our intellectual property, and what rights do they have to use it at all, if any?
That's covered. I mean, that's the major distinction between when you sign up for G Suite.
Yeah.
You are actually given a service level agreement. Whereas
You're
when you
relinquishing your rights.
Whereas when you sign up for a free Gmail service, you are actually signing a terms of service.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to distinguish between Google Mail, Gmail, and the Google Suite. I mean, not the non-Google Suite, the Google Doc services that they offer with the G Drive and so forth. That almost everybody uses this, and we're using that not knowing what our rights are. And all I'm trying to do is redefine and clarify what the terms of service. Well, what they say is you retain ownership of any intellectual property rights that you hold in that content. So when we exercise a Google form, is that our content? And do they have any rights to access the data for any reason at all?
They they do
Gmail,
have,
I understand.
yeah,
But Google Docs,
Drive and so on, I don't know. The Gmail, they do scan your Gmail.
absolutely.
And they scan your Gmail, and let's say, for example, you have been communicating with your friend, colleague about buying something new for your business, let's say a new computer. Suddenly you will find you'll be shown a lot of advertisements for laptops and computers and so on. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Google scans your email.
Sure.
And that's the terms of service. If you haven't read the terms of service, it's your fault.
I can appreciate this. I still don't know how to answer my own question regarding Google Docs.
Yeah, Google Docs is. I need to. Yeah, need to do some research.
Yeah, I think we need to look into that. But you know, one of the things that we need to bear in mind is that this whole GDPR thing, the intent of it is that we're all transparent. That's really what we need to be what we need to realize is that whatever it is that we're doing, we need to be transparent about it.
Yeah.
So,
if we collect a lot of data, and then sell it to somebody else to make money or whatever, then we should say that up front.
Yes.
If you do that, then okay, maybe you have hidden it in 300-page terms of service agreement, which nobody read, but still legally you are still covered. But
and I think the other
morally
thing,
or not, but
I think the other advantage to all of this is that a lot of people have simplified their privacy policies and their legal documentation so that it's readable. Because I mean, before you'd get pages and pages of the little tiny print that you couldn't read, and it would just go on and on and on and on. And who's got time to do that?
You would get tired and say yes.
Yes, exactly. So I think there's an advantage to that. So getting back to something you all alluded to, you know, not answering, not using, or not clicking on whatever. So cleaning up, and I have to admit I've been doing the same. I've been unsubscribing to a lot of things. The question is, that came up during this live thing that I mentioned earlier was, if you have a current list of people email addresses for your from your autoresponder, should you be going back and asking them to recomply or say yes if they're interested or whatever? And so, I mean, there's a drawback to that because I mean, it might mean that you lose a lot of people on the list that you have, because a lot of people will just let that go by and not do a darn thing. But I mean, they signed up for something that you have to offer, and I have to admit that my list is pretty old. I mean, it goes back a long time. And when I moved from MailChimp over to Mad Mimi, I did send a message saying, "This is I'm changing the focus on the work that I'm doing, and I'm changing my autoresponder, etc., etc. This is what I'm going to be doing, and if this is your opportunity to withdraw, if this is no longer of interest to you," and nobody withdrew. So since then, periodically I get somebody who will say, I can see that somebody withdrew. unsubscribed. And once in a while you get somebody would just send you an email and say, please take me off your list, whatever. That's fair.
Mhm.
But so this lawyer, Suzanne Dibble, Dibble, she didn't suggest doing that at all. Especially if you don't have that many people, so.
Well, there is the option each and every week, sorry, Lana, to unsubscribe. I mean, it's at the bottom of every
Yeah.
correspondence, right? Every
Yeah.
email that sent out on the list.
Yeah.
I think that's got you covered. If they want off, they can get off.
Yeah, exactly.
But quite a lot of spammers use that as a trick to actually verify your email address.
Yes.
When you receive a spam email and at the bottom it says a link saying unsubscribe, you hit that, you're actually confirming that your email address exists and is correct, and the spammers will continue spamming you.
Yeah, that's a very unique situation where if a spam email ends up in your spam box and then you hit that unsubscribe button that's on the spam email, yes, that is a trigger. But I think in normal email that you actually opted in, it's a completely different scenario. So, and I actually concur with that lawyer, because the human mind is a wonderful thing, So if I say, think about a bicycle, what are you going to think about? Of course, you're going to think about a bicycle. If I say, do you want to unsubscribe to my list? You're going to think about that, right? And then you're going to question whether there's any value. And then now it becomes an email beauty pageant where you need to convince these people that you're, this shining star in their inbox. And frankly, I mean, I don't think we need to do that. So plus, from my understanding from a course that I took, when you had acquired that email address, this GDPR law was not in effect.
Mm-hmm.
So we could say that it's grandfathered.
Right? No.
Prove me wrong.
Right? That's exactly, I think as far as I understand it, that's exactly what the GDPR is trying to do, irrespective of how you got your email list or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm talking about if you're using an opt-in service. So a service such as Aweber, MailChimp, MadMimi, right? They've got all of their bases covered. Right?
Yeah, but you can't say that I acquired those addresses well before the GDPR came into action. So no, that rule, no, you can't take that excuse. No,
it's not an excuse though, right? It is an excuse. It's not an excuse. Point is, I'm not gonna go send out an email to my list to say, do you really want to be on my list? Do you value this? I've said nothing about GDPR, with my list. And I've got a pretty big list of people, and I use Aweber, and Aweber's sent me an email saying that, hey, you know what, we've got you covered for GDPR, and then I said, all right, I'm just going to play stupid then, and just keep going on, right? Just going to be the dumb Canadian, and just keep doing
it's as was already mentioned. I think it's only a complaint would trigger an action against you. So unless you get into that situation, you should be good to go. I mean,
and I get complaints.
As in, if someone says that unsubscribe me, if someone says that, and you unsubscribe them and no longer send that newsletter or whatever to them, then they have no reason to complain.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Can I just jump in real quick? I think my interpretation of the GDPR is that you simply have to be in compliance, meaning you have to tell people how you are handling their data. So you're using a double opt-in and they opted in, and like Jay was saying, they're grandfathered in, they clicked on the double opt-in, they wanted to be on your list. I don't think it's necessary to send them a mail saying, by the way, I'm complying with GDPR, and bore the pants off them. That you just simply have to let them know that you are responsible for handling their data. I don't think it has to be that big of a deal.
I agree. If you have used the double opt-in and all those means of getting the and it's again the same thing, as I said, unless you get into trouble with somebody complains, then you may have to handle that. Other than
you just take them off their list. I mean, that's the first port of call. You take them off your list, done.
And don't sell the data that you have to somebody. Don't sell your client list to.
No.
Well, see, in the EE, we are in a unique position here because we don't get things like robocalls, and I'm not aware of people, marketing companies that sell lists and that sort of thing. I mean, perhaps it's out there, but I think GDPR, if it is out there, that's going to clamp down on that. So in that way, it's a good thing, and yet it's still another layer of.
Incidentally, I did attend a business expo a couple of days ago, and I did spot a company they didn't say that we are selling email lists and so on, but that's what they were doing. And when I probed a bit deeper, they said we can give you a list of phone numbers and.
Oh, that's so disappointing. I thought we were exempt from that here.
Yeah, you know when you fill out a form at a mall or something, win a free car.
Yeah.
That is list acquisition 101.
Yes.
That is a thing where, yes, it is a contest, but you're also basically giving your rights to whatever companies put that contest out to then acquire your information and then sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah. So
which is what Facebook does anyway.
Is that like the buying cold lists or whatever it's called? Yikes.
Wow. So Roland has his hand up. Boy, I really like this little. Is that something you're doing within the Zoom, Roland?
I'm accessing the participants panel, and when it shows all the participants, it has at the bottom of that, mute me and raise your hand.
Oh.
So it has the option there. And I decided to do it that way. Thanks for, I don't know how you recognize I had my hand up.
Well, there's a little text that comes up on the bottom of my of the screen.
Cool.
Right on. Cool.
When I do a raise my hand like that, I can see exactly in the lineup, I can see that my hand is raised, and I can see that whoever else is like Jay's, and everyone's testing it out maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that's a nice facility.
I'm high-fiving.
Oh, is that what that is?
I don't even see it. I'm still looking for it.
Anyway.
Okay, go for your question.
It was getting kind of rampant there. But I think that to be proactive about this list issue would be a good idea. If I had a list of 100, 1,000, whatever, and this issue is so prevalent right now, and nobody knows what the hell is going on, so they're all questioning that, and it's all in the back of their minds. I would think that a small, short email to the people, to your entire list, focusing on the concept, this has come up, GDPR, etc., but it's no big deal, and here's why. Because we've got you covered for this reason. So if you have any questions, contact me, but you're safe. You're as safe as you've ever been, and this is how we're handling it. So just wanted to let you know. And oh my God, how much more reassuring could that be? You're not sending them a sales letter. You're just reassuring them that the investment they made by giving you their email is as protected as it was when they gave it to you. And that sounds like a great opportunity for me.
Well, it's I mean, it sounds good, but when you look at the numbers of those kinds of things that everybody's getting, that's what she meant by the sort of subscribe fatigue. I mean, and the other thing she had said, I'm just looking at my notes, was that if you create a new update, if you update your privacy policy, and that is one thing she did say, if you have a website, you really do need to have a privacy policy on your website that is easy to find. So that was one thing she did say. But she said if you've updated your privacy policy, you probably should send it out to all your subscribers and suggest that they could opt out if they wish. But I mean, just look at my inbox is full of that stuff. So I'm not inclined to do it.
Well, it wouldn't be an offer to opt out. It would simply be a reassurance that they're safe. Because what's happening in your constituents' minds is like, I wonder if my email is safe. And all you did was say, yes, it is. If they read it, fine. If they don't, fine. But at least you sent that out in positive attitude. And I think that would be a great opportunity.
Well, I mean, let me ask the question here. Has anyone had that concern? Is my email safe with lists that you've signed up with? But I think it's a fine idea. There's no, in terms of brand awareness and brand building, brand reputation, I think it's a fine idea. And what I would strategize it to maybe do it within your normal marketing message.
Yeah.
So PS kind of thing, as opposed to it's an exclusive email about it, because and then also do it maybe in a week or so, so that once the dust clears,
send it as part of your regular newsletter or whatever.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the better idea.
So,
So have we covered the gamut, folks? Are there any other questions? Fred, what about you? I see you there. And I know you have a website, and I know you send out blogs. So have you had any concerns about this?
Well, Anna, thanks for asking. What I find is it comes back to what Roland said earlier about, I think, the American politics. He doesn't pay attention to them. I do the same. I don't listen to the news, and I saw all this hoo-ha-ha about GDPR. I even got an email from somebody offering a service where you can avoid the $20 million fines and really scare tactics. These are opportunists.
Oh, yeah.
And if you buy this plugin for $23, I think they'll solve all your GDPR problems for one website. And if you have 2 more websites, it's $29 for all your websites. And the other thing that Alana alluded to was the fact that you can also, it says, I'm just looking at it, it says you can set up your site to completely refuse EI traffic entirely. And that's what some people have done. And for that price of $23, they can do that for you with this thing. Probably just push a button. So there are opportunists, there are scaremongering. It reminds me of the time when we had to opt in with our mail list in Canada, with anybody emailing, and we all panicked and said, oh, okay, we got to get everyone on our mailing list to say, yes, I'm happy to be on your mailing list. And I go back to what Roland said, you ignore all this. I've ignored all of that. I had one person on my mail list asked to be taken off after all that in Canada, with all that stuff. So I'm a small player. This is, to me, for the big guys.
Yeah.
They want to control it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, what happened in Facebook has now made everybody worried. Oh, you could get a $20 million fine. Yes, I'm sure you could, but I'm not going to fine me $20 million. It wouldn't even probably get $20 from me.
It's a question.
I just don't pay. But I love what you said. It just confirmed a lot of what I feel. When somebody knocks on my door and says there's something happening, then I worry about it. I don't even watch the news. And Alana doesn't either, from what I can gather. And unless it's affecting me, I'll find out. And when GDPR knocks on my door and says, "Hey, you're doing," then I'll do so.
Mm.
That's my reaction. So I'm very lackadaisical about all this stuff, and the opportunists are out there trying to make money.
Oh yeah, they sure are.
Scaring you. So that's my reaction. But I really enjoyed this as well, always, because it just confirmed a lot of what you said, and even the lawyer confirmed what I think. You know,
she was worthwhile. And by the way, I posted on the GDP page a link to Mary Smith's conversation with this lawyer. So if you want to pursue it, there's something there for you. So Vivek, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say it's aimed at Fred actually. Youngsters, your target
audience.
Target is the wrong word, but they have a completely different view of the privacy and all that. I don't know whether you must have observed it. You must have seen it. They are more open to sharing their private stuff online, and I was just wondering how you would handle from that angle.
Well, what I do is I ask. In fact, I had a situation last night where I had a young fella, and I wanted to video his speech, and his mother was there, and his mother's a lawyer. So I discussed it with them and said, look, I wanted to share this video. And they looked at each other and said, yeah, that'll be all right. And I said, I'll send you a copy of the video before I share it, and I'll tell you where I'm sharing it. You know, so, but both of them looked at each other, and she is a lawyer, so I thought that's a pretty... Anyway, I just ask and make sure that they know where I'm going to put it. And in some cases, if I'm going to put it out, I'll ask for a video release form and say, look, just to make sure, because of age, if they're underage, then I must get their parents to agree. So, but
well, I've never asked anybody if it's okay to share this, because the assumption is if you're on one of these public things and you know it's being recorded, you know it's where it's going to be posted somewhere. So, you know, if you don't want that to happen, don't participate. I guess it's the
as long as you don't sell my handsomeness.
and how would I do that, Jay?
Oh, I'm sure when there's a will, there's a way.
That's kind of a hard sell, Jay.
Yeah, that's right. Only if I look a certain direction.
Oh, you guys. Let's see. Did I cover everybody? I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to kind of ask whatever they want or say whatever they... Nancy, what about you? Are you feeling better now about sending out your next blog post?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm just going to keep on keeping on just the way I am. And hey, good old MailChimp's got me covered.
Okay.
So I'll just, I'm not going to say a word. I'll just continue as is. And I'm not sure I have anyone from the EU on my list anyways.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've pretty well covered. We're over our time frame here. So I just want to remind everyone, as a way of closing, it's important to do what you love with passion. So I'm going to stop streaming and